Beautiful creatures of the world, and welcome back to Coffee with Kerri-Lynn. We are still rocking in the free world. Yes, we are. It is a glorious day here in the far north of Maine, up along the Canadian border. It is stark contrast to yesterday. We are almost 70 degrees outside today. We went and collected the mail. The neighbors were out collecting the mail. Everybody has a sense of hope that the nonsense and the shenanigans, the attack on the traditional family, the attack on our children's minds, how they're warping us around, will end. That the economy will get straightened out at some point, and we're just so happy we're not a communist country. So happy. I think that's the biggest point that everybody is making. We did not fall into communist territory. There's still a lot of work to do. So today we're celebrating. Tomorrow we'll get back to work. But today, we just want to have today. And we want to feel the jubilation and the happiness and the hopefulness. Just even if it's for a day. And then we'll get back to work tomorrow, nose to the grindstone, because Rome wasn't built in a day. We're not going to fix all the problems right off the bat. But there is determination. There's determination amongst conservatives right now, in our area at least. And that is very, very hopeful. Yesterday when we got up, it was freezing cold. The wind was blowing. The rain was coming down. We were outside doing our barn chores in hats and gloves. We had a breakfast. We had that extra cup of coffee, the king and I. We had a prayer session, and then we went off to vote. And when we got up to the polls, everybody we knew was there. We're a large community, but we are very tight-knit. It's rural. It's rural America. Quintessential rural America. And we had the farmers there, and we had the teachers there, and we had retired teachers there, and we had the country club set there, and we had the regular working Joe there, and everybody knows everybody, so it was a good time. Everybody was discussing how disgusted they were with the Biden-Harris administration and how a lot of this needs to get cleaned up, because it's just insanity. The way that the traditional family is being broken down, the way that they are warping our children's minds at school, the economy. It's just, the list goes on and on and on. Most people understand that the war is going to happen, even though Trump will attempt his best. We are all adults here. What's going on overseas is not going to just stop and evaporate because Trump waves a magic wand and does the art of the deal. But the chances of your children getting drafted at this point, your sons and daughters, I don't think he'll do that. I really don't think he'll do that. The future isn't ours to see, but at least we have some hope. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, I'm not going to keep you long today because today's a celebration. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to get back to the grindstone and we're going to get things done. We have a huge project going on here, so I got to work around that project. Hopefully everything will be done by Monday. So if the videos are spotty, it's because I have a huge project that we're doing, and fingers crossed by Monday, the video schedule will be straightened out. It's always the way when you have a huge project on the homestead, the animals decide to act up, the grandchildren need babysitting, and every dang neighbor needs to come over and say hello or something. It's just incredible. It's incredible the interruptions you have when you have something very, very important to do. So for the rest of the week, we'll have spotty videos, but we'll get what we can out there, and then hopefully by Monday we'll be back on our regular video schedule, which is a couple videos a day, at least 4 days a week. So hopefully. I wanted to share with you a story, true story, about my grandfather. So yesterday when I was voting, I was thinking about my grandfathers, both of them. They both fought in World War II. They were both stationed in the European theater. They were stationed in England. One of my grandfathers, my mother's father, he spent many years in Stalag 17. And that's where my thoughts were going yesterday. They gave us a republic if we could keep it. My family has helped to form and shape this country from the beginning. They came over as pilgrims. My 13th generation back great-grandfather, Samuel Gorton, he founded Warwick, Rhode Island, and he helped found the state of Rhode Island. He overthrew the government, the crown, twice to become governor of Rhode Island at the behest of his best friend, Roger Williams. Roger Williams didn't want the job, so he pushed it out to my great-granddaddy. My great-granddaddy, 13 generations back, and we're going back into the 1600s. He was a hunted man. He was wanted by the crown. And when his faithful followers got captured, they were hung and quartered. He tried to abolish slavery in the colony. He spent many years back over in England petitioning for the abolition of slavery in the colonies. In every war in this country, one of my forefathers have fought for this country. My grandfather was a young man when he volunteered himself to fight in World War II. He is living history, was living history to me my entire life. He passed away many years ago. And I thought of him when I was standing there with my ballot. I thought of the slippery slope that this country was on. I thought about standing at the threshold of communism. I didn't want his fight to be for nothing. My grandfather told us many wartime stories as we were growing up. He was shot down over Germany, and as his plane was going down, he was the radio man. And as his plane was going down, they realized there was not enough parachutes on that plane. My grandfather didn't have one. The pilot of that plane gave my grandfather his parachute. There was a bit of an argument. My grandfather was ordered to put the parachute on, and they would tandem jump. During that jump, when they released the parachute, it got caught up and they were death spiraling. The pilot unharnessed himself and pushed himself off my grandfather. When my grandfather hit the ground, he broke just about every bone in his body. He was found in a farmer's field by a young boy. The boy put him in the wagon, brought him to the barn, and hid him under hay, and went to find his father. His father was very frightened that an American was being hidden in the barn, and went and got the authorities. They came and took my grandfather. He was an airman, so there was a little bit of a special consideration for my grandfather. You see, in Germany, the Nazis, their elite were Air Force. My grandfather, also being Air Force, they held him to a higher standard. They got him to a German hospital. It was months of recuperation. When he was able to walk without support, they death marched him to Stalag 17. During that death march, my grandfather saved 2 other GIs. My grandfather almost died in Stalag 17 a few times, but he persevered. He came home from World War II a broken man. There was no such thing as PTSD. No such diagnoses. There was no medications. It was a time of get on with life and live a full life, or don't. Luckily, my grandfather chose to get on with life and live a full life. Him and my grandmother had 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. And I thought of him predominantly. When I was casting my vote, I thought of him predominantly. All the pain that he had gone through, all the suffering, all the love that he had given, because he believed in our country. Because he believed in our country, that's what kept him going when he was a prisoner of war. He believed our country would not leave him to languish in a prison camp. He believed in the power of the United States of America. He believed in the American dream. And I looked around at everybody else voting, and I prayed that they believed in America too. Today would have been Today was my grandfather's birthday. He passed away many, many years ago. This morning, I received photographs from friends and family in Rhode Island, in Massachusetts, in Vermont, in New Hampshire, in New York, in Florida, of the sunrise today. we kept our country. I cast my vote in honor of my grandfather. And we kept our country free. It's going to be a lot of work to continue to keep it free. But nonetheless, we live in the freest country in the world. That dusty, dingy, dirty old document the Democrats talk about, the one that they would like to throw out, our forefathers knew what they were doing. It is not a dead document. It is the document that keeps us the greatest country, the freest country in the world. Congratulations, President Trump. Today is a day of celebration. Tomorrow is a day we get back to the grindstone, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. Be the kindness that you want to see in the world. And as always, Carpe Diem. Because while the sun is shining today and the temperatures are phenomenal, no one promised you a tomorrow.